Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. All right, welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode of the Topper Talk podcast. As always, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Topper_Talk. Slide over to our YouTube channel at Topper Talk Podcast. Get all of our past and future episodes over there. And also check us out now on TikTok at Topper.talk. And we're also on Facebook at Topper Talk. We should be easy to find there. Posting a lot of new media, short clips there as always. Feel free to share those episodes. Tell a friend. Give us a rate and a review. We'd love to hear that. As always, I've got my man Tyler here with me. Tyler, you ready to jump into a big episode?
Yeah, I'm sure you're talking about the red towel wrap up, but kind of dreading that one, but it's going to be entertaining for everybody listening.
Yeah, before we jump into that, let's talk about our sponsor of the podcast, and that is the Fireman Moving Company. They are the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you're looking to move anytime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. It'll be literally the best decision you make regarding moving, big or small, near or far. Those guys are going to make your life in that process just a lot easier because they are professionals. They'll get you where you need to go a lot quicker than you and your group of buddies can get it done. I promise you that. Now, before we jump into the main segment of the episode, we are going to dive into that red towel wrap-up, and it is quite a lengthy one, as Tyler alluded to earlier. So, Tyler, catch us up on all the WKU athletics that we've missed since we last recorded. Hit us with that red towel wrap-up.
All right, I'm going to preface this red towel wrap-up that if I say anybody's name, I am truly sorry. I'm trying my best. But on 110, the men's basketball dropped a contest versus Sam Houston State University, 74-78. On the same day, the women's basketball team got that dub at home versus Sam Houston State, 76-60. Track and field, the Commodore Challenge, Julian Cleaner took home third place in 300-meter dash. On the distance side, Kinsley Bassett finished up in third in the 5,000-meter race. Rachel Payne may have had the best first day. She ran a big personal record in the 600 meter and jumped very well in the high jump. Payne led the charge in the women's 600 with a personal record of 1 minute, 43 seconds, good enough for a 15th place finish. The junior also added a high jump of 1.55 meters, placing 7th. Graduate transfer Amelia Lesniak led the Hilltoppers in the high jump, finishing in 6th place with a distance of 1.72 meters. Newcomer Connor Owens led the way for the throwers on the men's side. The Montgomery native scratched the top 10 in the weight throw, finishing 9th and hitting 17.15 meters. Asia Basic, I know that's probably not how you say the name. I apologize. Notched the top 15 finish in the women's weight throw, placing 11th with a distance of 17.70 meters. Cameron Horton made his mark in the hurdles, finishing up in 4th in the 60-meter finals, going for a best of 8.18 second time. For the vaulters, freshman Sophia Roskowski and Jessica Phillips both managed top 15 finishes. Luke Stiegman threw a personal best of 14.97 meters in the shot put to make the finals. Netanya Liners finished 14th overall in the 60 meters. Demetrius Roll continued from his strong 2023 season, finishing 4th in the 60-meter prelims, winning his heat with a time of 6.86 seconds, propelling him in the finals. In the finals, he shaved 0.06 seconds off his time, finishing up in 5th. Wade Balcom led the way for the distance tops. He notched a 2nd place finish in his heat, good for 27th overall in the mile. In his first track meet of his collegiate career, Jared Sanfus managed a 17th place finish in the 3,000-meter race with a time of 8 minutes and 57 seconds. In the final race of the day, the 4x400 meter relay, the men's squad managed a 5th place finish to cap off the day's events. Moving on to tennis. 114. The ladies lost in 3-4 to EKU. The lady topper started off the opening match by taking the doubles point with victories in the number 1 and 2 positions. Blanco and Samantha Martinez defeated EKU's Mary Lou Coate and Emmeline Polivia 6-3, while Paolo Cortez and Kopika defeated Marcia Fendico and Samantha Park-Haminko 7-6. Rachel Hermanova and Sadaya Hernandez fell in the number 3 positions to Madison Hill and Maria Triska 6-2. WKU claimed single victories in the number 5 and number 6 positions from Kopika and Blanco. Blanco defeated Azim Elif Osir by retirement, and Kopika defeated Maria Triska 6-1 and 6-2 respectively. Also in singles, Cortez fell to Fendinko 6-1 and 6-2. Hermanova fell to Park Haminko 4-6, 7-5, 7-6, 7-4. Jeez Louise. Hernandez fell to Coate 7-6, 9-6, 6-4, and Sanskritha Demiria fell to Polivia 6-2, 6-4. Done with the hard names. Once again, I'm sorry for anybody that I misspelled. No offense meant. I apologize. I'll try to get better. Also, WKU football signed offensive line Jaleel Riviera Harvey. He's a transfer from Marshall, so he finally is coming over to the light side or to the good side. WKU football also signed defensive back Kent Robinson. Baseball senior Mason Burns named number 48 on the Perfect Game USA list of top 75 seniors. WKU football defensive back coach Jason Martin was named the Conference USA Cornerback Coach of the Year by Coaching Network on Twitter. And Caden Veldkamp won the Scott Van Pelt Scotty Award for Best Performance in a Bad Beat. Thank goodness that's over. That is it for the Red Towel wrap-up. I'm off. Back to you. I'm muting myself and taking a drink.
Yeah, man. Give you a hand, because that was a mouthful. You know, when I was making the notes for the episode and I saw we had our first track and field event of the season and our first tennis tournament of the season, I knew it was going to be a lot of results. But those athletes, they needed that recognition, that shine. You know, they're not likely to get a feature segment, you know, on Topper Talk. You know, it just probably isn't in the cards. We'll focus on, you know, football, basketball, maybe baseball, volleyball. But when they have events, we will try to rattle off those results, let everybody know how they did. Now, getting on to the main portion of the episode, we are going to recap the WKU men's basketball games versus Jacksonville State. And then we're going to preview their upcoming road games with New Mexico State and Texas El Paso coming up. So this past Saturday, we did host Ray Harper and his Jacksonville State squad in front of 4,580 fans, thanks in large part to the Red Towel Trust and their 500 ticket giveaway. Once again, we got to see a convincing WKU victory as we were able to pull away for an 80-69 victory. WKU is now 13-4 on the season and 2-1 in Conference USA play. And we have won all of our games in EA Diddle Arena this season. Meanwhile, Jacksonville State drops to 10-8 on the season and is also 2-1 in Conference USA play. Now, Ray Harper, we know him. We knew what he was going to bring. He brought a hungry and upset-minded team that had won 6 straight games into Diddle. And they were in control of the game for, you know, much of the first half, you could say. You know, Don Henry missed quite a bit of time in that game due to foul trouble in the first half. But in the second half, you know, Don got back on the floor and our defense really stepped up, kind of flipped the switch and helped turn that game into a convincing WKU victory. Brandon Newman was our leading scorer with 25 points. He also had 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals, so just did it all. Don McHenry also chipped in 19 points after sitting most of that first half. Babacar Faye chipped in 8 points and 7 rebounds. I think all his points were on dunks too, man. He had a good game with just posting up and was just bodying people. And then Christian Lander had 8 points to go along with 4 assists. On the other side, Jacksonville State's leading scorer was Kiki Tandy, the guy we highlighted him in the preview episode. We let everybody know he's the head of the snake. He was going to take most of their shots. He leads their team in scoring. He had more than double the shot attempts of his next closest teammate. We highlighted that making his life rough would be paramount to us being able to win that game. Now, there were times in the game where he was able to get to a spot and make tough shots. But overall, Christian Lander, for all he did on the offensive end, he had probably an even better game on the defensive end, really making Tandy work for every single shot attempt that he had. Kept a hand in his face, stayed in front of him. Tandy did finish with 25 points, but he did that on 8 out of 21 shooting, so he was not very efficient. And he was only 3 out of 10 from 3. So, Tyler, what are your thoughts on how the Jacksonville State game played out?
Well, in the first half, because Kiki Tandy, he scored, I think, 14 points. Yeah, he scored 14 points in the first half. So I was kind of hoping that he wouldn't get free. He finished with 25. He did miss 3 free throws in the game, which on the season, this whole season, he's only missed 2 free throws. So he comes in the diddle, misses 3. You got to be happy with that. But, I thought the second half, when we came out and we were down, 12? No, 8. We was down 8. I believe that team shut, like, Ray Harper knew he was wanting really bad to come into Diddle Arena and just whip up on us and leave there with a victory. But I'm glad that our team held strong. I'm glad we decided to go for the 50-50 balls, try to rebound as much as possible. I feel like that's been lacking, especially, I believe in the Sam Houston game that may have been lacking, especially, trying to get to the 50-50 balls and all that, hustling, I guess. So I'm glad that got corrected, and I feel like we did. We came out, good guys win, but that was a fun game to watch and be able to listen to, man.
Yeah, the first half of the game, like you said, it was pretty even. It was a back and forth battle for most of that first half, and then they're kind of at the end, kind of the last 4 to 8 minutes, Jacksonville State started hitting some threes. They were able to have a lot of drive and kick threes, and they took that 8-point lead into halftime. WKU, it really looked like we were just kind of playing out of sorts with Don McHenry on the bench for a majority of that first half. And then after halftime, our defense really tightened up and was able to create some space to get ahead of the Gamecocks. We ended up outscoring Jacksonville State 45-26 in the second half. So talk about just an absolute dominant performance, completely flipped the script. It was very similar to what we saw the week before when we played Liberty here at home. So it's really nice to see a team and a coach that goes in at halftime and makes adjustments, because it really felt like over the last several years, what we see is what we got, and we got the same thing, nearly every game. And that was usually, playing from behind into the game. We try pressing and getting back in the game at the very end. But this team just has a different gear. They realize that their defense is what's going to create their offense and propel them to victory. And it was nice to see them make those adjustments. They really started loosening up, playing one-on-one ball with those Jacksonville State players that were driving to the goal. When they were trying to kick out for those corner threes, etc., we were really starting to create some turnovers. And then we were getting out and running from there. So it was nice to see kind of all those, those adjustments, those changes, and then it would directly lead to fast break opportunities for us on the other end. So let's talk about the key indicators for this game. WKU won the rebounding battle 38-28. So, significant margin there. We shot 49.1% from the field, 50% from 3. Jacksonville State shot 45.6% from the field and 33% from 3. On those 3-point field goals, we were 10 out of 20. The lid kind of really came off. We've kind of said all year that we're not a great shooting team, but I think we showed that if we take good shots and in rhythm, once we start seeing that ball go in, that hoop just keeps getting bigger and bigger. We shot 50%. I would say that's by far our best 3-point shooting game of the season so far. And hopefully that's something we can keep going in the future, just as needed. Good shots in rhythm in the flow of the offense. And Jacksonville State was 6 out of 18 from three, good for only 33%. On free throws, we took 25 free throws. We made 18 of those. So we almost got back to the old Stansbury mantra of make more than they take. We made 18. Jacksonville State was 11 out of 19. Like you said, Kiki Tandy, he came in. He was a 95% free throw shooter on the season, and he missed 3. And I think a lot of that had to do with how much we were making him work on offense and defense. He wasn't just, getting to go out and just play one side of the ball. He had to be a full court, 94 feet for, I think he played 32 plus minutes of the game. They were leaning on him a lot, and we made him work. And, once those legs get tired, you start missing shots, and that's what happened. And then looking at fast break points, WKU scored 24, most of those leading directly from defense. And Jacksonville State only scored 5. So just an incredible game. It was really fun. Always nice to send an ex-coach out of here with the loss. So sorry, Ray. Head back to Jacksonville State with that L. Now let's jump into some grades for this game. First, let's talk about the offense. What do you have for the WKU offense versus Jacksonville State?
Well, the offense did commit 17 turnovers, which, I feel like that's roughly around. We have committed more. So that's roughly around what we have been. But they only scored 18 points off them 19 turnovers. So that's not really good. I'm glad we shot 50% from threes. We out rebounded. Where's rebound statistics?
38,
there it is.
28.
Yeah. 38-28. That's always a good statistic to win, because that actually means you are hustling. So I'm going to give the offense. I'm going to give them a B plus. Them 17 total turnovers. I wish we could have corrected some of those, and 5 of them coming from one player. But everyone has them type of games. Points in the paint, we did get outscored 24-30. So that's with Kiki, really being their main weapon. But I mean, I guess overall, I will give them a B plus.
I'm gonna go with an A. I mean, we scored 80 points. Yeah, the turnovers are a red flag most of the time. When you have 17 of them, you'd like to see that number be down closer to 10 to 12. You can live in that range. 17 is a little bit higher than what we'd like, but ultimately our defense was up to the task. If we turned the ball over, we were getting stops on the other end. And then getting outscored in the paint, the majority of that is because, we were shooting 3 balls at such a high clip on the other end. When you're 10 out of 20, you're not really jamming the paint that much. When we did, Babacar Faye had a whole lot of success. So I think the offense deserves an A. They got an A from me. So that's what I'm giving them. What about the defense? What you got for WKU versus Jacksonville State?
All right, so like I said, we forced 14 turnovers, which led to 19 points off turnovers. Rebound, like I said, we out-rebounded. And we held Kiki to only 25 points, and really, we basically held them in check. That second half domination, only allowing them to score 26 points. The defense is going to get an A from me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, one of the things we highlighted coming into this game was Kiki Tandy. He is the guy that was going to lead this team. If they were going to win this game, it was probably going to be on his back and on his shooting because he averages, he has more than double the shot attempts of any of his teammates coming into this game. In this game, he had 21 shot attempts. His next closest teammate had 8. He had 2 teammates that had 8, one had 7. So, he was nearly triple the next guy on shot attempts. And I think he had 10 of their 18 3-point attempts. So, he's a high volume, going to shoot a lot. He picked up a foul early. I was hoping we could get him in foul trouble, get him on the bench. But he played smart. He was a good player. Really have to respect what he brings to the game. But I respected our defense a lot more and what they were able to do and limit him. Most of the time, it was Christian Lander, hassled him, stayed right with him for most of the game. And even when he was making shots, they were tough shots. He wasn't just wide open. He was making tough shots, hand in his face, going to the basket, drawing contact. That he worked for every point that he got and earned them. But our defense was amazing. That second half we outscored by 19. I'm never going to complain about that. I really am still waiting for the day that we put that full 40 minutes together. We just blow somebody out of the water. It's going to happen. Lutz has that discipline and that mindset where, anything less than your best is not going to be accepted. And he's always coaching. So I'm giving the defense an A. What about coaching? What do you got for the Hilltopper coaches?
Well, I feel like they did make the right, or they definitely made the right adjustments at halftime. And with Coach playing on a hurt leg, 'cause I think he pulled a muscle or something, I'm going to give him an A as well, and the coaching staff an A because they completely deserve that.
Yeah, I saw Coach come limping into the locker room in the post game video. Not sure what he did, but hopefully Coach heals up. But yeah, I'm right there with you, Coach. And Coach is getting A. We talked about the adjustments that they made. In the first half, Jacksonville State was really getting a lot of drive and kick, open looks, open shots, and was making some threes. Second half, we defended that better. Had help defense rotating over for those kickouts, created a few turnovers off of those, and immediately turned those into points. So coaching wise, nice to see some adjustments. Nice to stick with our game plan. Even with Don McHenry sitting out most of that first half, just kept our head down, kept grinding, kept doing what we do. Shots started falling and, pulled that game out and pulled it away pretty convincingly. So I'm giving the coaches an A. What about the fans for this Jacksonville State game? 4,580 in total. What you got for them?
Well, it's never a bad time whenever you're sitting in an arena. You got 4,500 of your closest friends there with you cheering on the tops. Once again, I was listening to on radio because I was at work. I could hear the fans getting into, especially in the second half. In the first half, team was a little quiet, fans was a little quiet, but there in the second half, whenever the team needed them, the fans was definitely getting loud, and I'm going to give them an A as well.
Yeah, the fans, I still would like to see more. 4,580 is good. 5,000 plus the week before against Liberty. We still are dealing with cold weather. It's snowy in Bowling Green right now. Luckily we're on a road trip right now. Students weren't back in last weekend, so I think going forward, now that students are back on campus, we're going to start seeing some rowdy crowds. As long as we keep winning games, keep attracting fans. The fans, in my opinion, definitely deserved an A. A good amount of fans, always love to see more. If it's not a sellout, if we're one short of a sellout, I still want to see one more, but I'm still going to give the people that did show up for this game, they're getting an A. So now we turn the page and we look forward to our upcoming road trip. We're going to start that against New Mexico State this Thursday night. And then on Saturday, we play at University of Texas, El Paso. So let's get into those right after this break. All right, and WKU travels to Las Cruces, New Mexico to take on New Mexico State on Thursday, January 18th. The game is at 8 p.m. and it will be on ESPN Plus. WKU comes into the game with a record of 13-4 overall, and we're 2-1 in Conference USA play, while New Mexico State is 7-10 overall and is 1-1 in Conference USA play. Now, the ESPN Power Index slightly favors New Mexico State to win with a 51.1% chance, but Ken Palm favors WKU by 2. New Mexico State opened their Conference USA play with a 63-53 victory over UTEP, and then they fell to FIU 77-67. So, Tyler, how does this game with New Mexico State, how does it look and feel on paper to you?
Well, I mentioned it to you before we started recording that I looked up the history of our two teams playing, and it happened back in 2005, January 29th, I believe. And we played there at New Mexico State. Western won 72 to, I think, 67. I don't feel like it's going to be that close of a game. You know, New Mexico State's already lost to the two lesser schools in Kentucky, and that lost to Kentucky to actually start the basketball season, 86-46, and then they lost to Louisville, 90-84 in OT. Interesting fact: Rawls was the leading scorer in that game, though, for New Mexico State, and he scored 20. You know, if you look at the rest of their schedule, they beat California Baptist 66-61. Of course, we beat them as a closer game than that. They did lose to UC Irvine and Sul Ross State. No, they beat Sul Ross State 84-49, which I've never heard of that school. I'm sorry, Sul Ross State. But I feel like this game, of course, we already know what Ross can do. We've watched him like a year, 2 years, then he left, then he came back, then he left again. And this is a whole new program, because last year the program got disbanded for off the court issues. So I'm pretty sure they had to have a new coach. So new coach, new players, kind of like us. If we got some continuity, where they have, I don't think any. So I feel like Western's going. I don't feel like it'll be a close game. I got that feeling, but I just feel like it's going to be a good victory for the Tops.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Let's talk about some of the New Mexico State players that we need to be aware of, just like we do for every game and every opponent. Their leading scorer is Robert Carpenter. He is a 6'7" junior, and he's averaging 10.2 points per game. Their leading rebounder is Kosi Izigu, a 6'10" senior, averaging 5.6 rebounds per game to go along with his 8.6 points per game. And then their leading passer is a name that we're all familiar with. You've already mentioned him there, Tyler. It's one Jordan Rawls. He's a 6'2" senior guard that's averaging 4.4 assists per game to go along with his 8.1 points per game. Now, overall, this New Mexico State team has played a lot of closely contested ball games. Of their 17 total games, 7 of those have been decided by 6 points or fewer. This team gives up more points than they average. They shoot a lower percentage than us, and they're not a good rebounding team, just looking at their season statistics. Really, the fact that this game is on the road, we're going to New Mexico State, is really the only reason that I would be remotely worried about how this game could play out, because we all just saw how we played at Sam Houston last week. Didn't expect to lose that game, but went and played in an empty gym, basically in front of refs and some families and coaches, and didn't have a good game. I would be way more confident in this game if we were at Diddle. I think we'd win by 10 plus going away, similar to the game that we just played. But being on the road, winning on the road is hard. We said that in the season preview episode. We need to win all the games at home and try to split them on the road. That's what good and great teams do. And so far, we've held up the end of the bargain about winning them all at home. But now we got to go split them on the road. At worst, split them on the road. We lost one to Sam Houston. Don't need to lose this one or the game at El Paso. So, this game could be closer than we'd like it to be, but I'm still, pretty confident in WKU getting a victory. Now let's look at the team comparisons. New Mexico State averages 70.2 points per game, while WKU allows 73.3. New Mexico State allows 71.9, while WKU scores 79.4. WKU shoots better than them. We shoot 45% on the year. New Mexico State's at 43.3%. And then WKU is averaging 41 rebounds per game. That's number 30 in the nation. And New Mexico State is only averaging 34 rebounds per game. So let's jump into some keys to victory. What do we have to do, first of all, to beat New Mexico State on their court?
Well, I'm going to say my second one first, and that's going to be win the rebound battle. We didn't win that against Sam Houston on the road, and I feel like we're definitely going, and we should definitely win the rebound. We should definitely out rebound New Mexico State Aggies. So that's going to be my first key to victory.
I think mine's going to be, something we've talked about before, and it's going to be defend without fouling. We saw that when we fouled, especially in the first half, Don McHenry against Jacksonville State ended up being out of the game. If we were committing too many fouls, playing too aggressively defensively, sticking hands in there, just picking up unnecessary fouls, which I'd say several of them in the last couple games have been just unnecessary or questionable, if you want to call them that. But we have to defend without fouling. When we do that, um, we keep them off the line and we can hold them to bad shots. They're not a great shooting team as is, so or even create some turnovers and lead into offense. So I would say defend without fouling. What's your next key to victory?
Real quick, I was looking at their free throw percentage, and Christian Cook, he played in all 17 games. He averages 28 minutes a game, 28.2. And he scores the same amount of points as Robert Carpenter, and his free throw percentage is 94.4%. You look down there at how many he shot throughout the season. He shot 34, or he shot 36. So he's hit 34 and he's attempted 36. His 3-point percentage 27, made 79, attempted. So you're looking at 34.2% there. Jalen Jackson Posey, he's averaging 26.8 points a game, or minutes a game. He's only averaging 8 points a game though, but his 3-point percentage is 54.2, and he's shooting a 85% free throw percentage. So definitely Robert Carpenter and Christian Cook. I'm only doing this because you mentioned free throw percentage. Definitely need to keep them two off the free throw line. And also Femi Odukale. He's a guard. I think that's how you say his name. His 3-point percentage is 36.4. His field goal percentage is 47.2, same as Robert Carpenter. And his free throw percentage is only 54.9. So, yeah, I would. And Femi, I'm not going to try to say his last name, Robert Carpenter and Christian Cook, those are their three main scorers. So definitely keep an eye on all three of them. Now, going on to my keys of victory, because I went off on that tangent. I apologize. Play our tempo of basketball. I heard Coach say that we have, I think, the second fastest tempo in college basketball, and that's one thing that worried him about Jacksonville State is they have one of the slowest tempo in basketball. So if we're able to play our game, they'll keep New Mexico State off the line because we're playing. Well, hopefully they'll keep them off the line. But we're getting steals, we're pushing the ball, and we're getting fast break points, and kind of causing havoc down there. So I'm going to say play our tempo of basketball.
Yeah, I'm going to go with my number 2 key to victory is we have to limit turnovers. I mean, that's every game. It may be cliche, whatever you want to call it. But when you go on the road and it's hard enough to win on the road, we don't need to have 15, 16, 17 plus turnovers, which are just empty possessions and potentially turning into fast break opportunities or just open shots, etc. for the other team. So limit those turnovers, be smart with the ball. We've seen it in, small chunks, halves of basketball where we've taken care of the ball. Much like halves of basketball where we've been really efficient scoring the ball. And that's directly correlated with not turning the ball over. The less you turn the ball over, you're giving yourself a better shot to score points and be more efficient on the offensive end. So let's keep that number, if it's in the 10 to 12 range, we're going to feel really good about that. We're going to win a lot of ball games just because we are efficient offensively, even if we're not a great, quote unquote, great shooting team at this point in the season. Though we did just have a great shooting game, not turning the ball over is going to really help just in all facets of the game and put us in a better position to go on the road and get a tough victory. Tyler, what's your third key to victory?
Well, you just mentioned it. Win the turnover battle. WKU and New Mexico State are both averaging 13.7 turnovers per game. So definitely going to have to keep that number low and cause their number to go up. And interesting enough, Jordan Rawls is responsible for 2.1 turnovers a game. Jalen Jackson Posey is responsible for 2.7. And Femi Odukale, I'm sticking with that. It sounds good. He's responsible for 3 turnovers a game. So, if the balls are in really those three players' hands, I would like to see our team apply pressure to them and try to get them to throw an errant pass or just pick their pockets and go off to the races. So definitely win the turnover battle.
Yeah, my third one's going to be another cliche one, but it's one that's been a strength of ours through most of this season. I think there's only been a game or two where we've been out-rebounded this season. And when that happens, you're generally losing the ball game. You're not securing extra possessions that you otherwise would have. So we need to win the rebound margin. We are a top 30 rebounding team in the nation, as I looked that up before this game. We do really well of gathering rebounds, but we need to just make sure that happens. Against Liberty, I think we barely won the rebounding margin by 1. Sam Houston, we might believe we lost it in hindsight. And we lost that. We lost the game. You miss out on extra possessions on the offensive end, especially, or you give them offensive rebounds if you're not getting those defensive rebounds. So we have to secure rebounds and just push the ball up the court. That's what we do. We get the rebound and we're pushing it up the court, just really quickly getting into our offense, fast break points. Or just those driving kick. We saw Dante Allen, Brandon Newman, McHenry had a couple last game, just good looking 3-point shots. So rebounding. It sounds cliche, it sounds basketball 101, but it really is that important to us. And with the pace of offense that we play, we've got to secure the ball, get it in our guards' hands, and go. What about your NVT? Who do you have as your most valuable topper?
I'm gonna say Brandon Newman. Seeing the resurgence of him, kind of what we've been missing this whole. It's nice to see what we have been missing this whole season. He's had 2 really good games, especially against Jacksonville State. Came in clutch there. So, my MVT is definitely going to be Brandon Newman for this game.
Yeah, I think Brandon, this last game, and I tweeted out during the game, I said, this, all caps, this is the Brandon Newman we are expecting to get all season. He's been a shooter all season, but this last game, he became a maker. There's a difference between being a shooter and a maker. He hadn't been shy about putting those shots up, and we know he can shoot. We know he can make the ball. He just hadn't done it consistently enough to feel like a threat. The lid came off this last game. He was a heck of a shooter. He was an even better maker. And I was glad to see it. He's an all-around player, leads the team in rebounds, had several steals, feeds the ball, had several assists as well. So just an all-around game from Brandon Newman. I'm going a different direction, though. I'm going with old trusty point guard 1. I'm going with Don McHenry. I think we kind of saw the tail of the tape, how the game kind of flipped from half 1 to half 2. Whether that was directly correlated to Don McHenry being on and off the court last game, I don't know. But I think, our leading scorer, the guy that seems like he can go down and get his shot, his mid-range and his 3-point shot, his ability to get to the basket or share the ball. He's just a really impressive player. I think he is literally the straw that stirs this drink of this WKU offense. So give me Don McHenry as my most valuable topper. What about a score prediction against New Mexico State?
Well, I had it written down earlier, and I've been looking at it, especially since we've been going over the keys of victory. And I think I'm going to add a few points to New Mexico State, not many, but it's still going to be an easy victory for the Tops. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, I hope it comes true. I'm going to go 81-65. So that's mine. It's a victory for all dear old Western.
I like it. I'm close. I'm not quite as high on WKU side. I'm going to go with 75. I think life on the road is tough. Scoring at many points can be tough. So give me 75 to a nice 69 for New Mexico State. I think we pull out a a good 6-point victory. We're not favored by the power index. I haven't seen a Vegas spread on this. Ken Palm says we win by 2. So if we go and win by 6, I'll be pretty happy with that. So that's all for our New Mexico State coverage. Now we're going to talk about our trip on Saturday to El Paso, Texas to play the UTEP Miners. We travel there on Saturday, 1:20. The game is at 8 p.m. That game is also on ESPN Plus. UTEP enters this week with a record of 9-8 overall. They're currently at 0-2 in Conference USA play, with losses to New Mexico State and FIU. They face MTSU on Thursday before they play us, and for some reason, the ESPN Power Index favors UTEP with a 56.5% chance of winning. We do have a couple common opponents on our non-conference slate for comparison. We both played Austin Peay. They beat Austin Peay by 8 points, 71-63, whereas we only beat them by 2. They also played Abilene Christian and lost to them 88-82, whereas we played them and beat them. So, a couple similar opponents there, and kind of it feels like a fluky ESPN Power Index favoring them to win with their overall record. But Tyler, how does this game look and feel on paper to you?
Well, I was looking at the schedule right when you said that. And I was going to mention Austin Peay and Abilene Christian, but you missed the powerhouse of this non-con schedule for them. The Science and Arts, I'm guessing, School of Oklahoma. It just says science.
How dare I?
How dare you? They beat them 123-72. They beat McMurray 120. McFlurry, they beat them 120-71. No offense to any McMurray fans.
I thought that machine was broken.
It typically always is. You can never get an Oreo McFlurry. But no, this, let me go back here to their statistics. Now, historical, we have played them 9 times. They have only won once, and that was I don't really know when that was. They've won 1, lost 8 times.
It wasn't that long ago. We jumped out to like an 18-0 lead, and they came back and won that game. It was at Texas El Paso.
Oh, yes.
They were celebrating like a 50th anniversary of their Texas Western team.
Yeah. At the Don Haskins Center. It went into overtime in 2016. That was the only game they've won back in 2016. They won in overtime, 93-89. The rest of the games, I wouldn't say easy WKU victories. Average. Let's see, you got 67-73, 68-73, 69-74, 62-67, 59-76. That was an outlier. 60-72, 62-65, 93-89. They win, and then 66-71, we win. I feel like this one was going to be a lot closer than the New Mexico State game is going to be. It's still, I wouldn't really necessarily say easy. They do get a lot of steals, so that's definitely going to be one. That's foreshadowing one of my keys to victory. When we'll talk about their players and all the points that they score, or at least their top scorer. But I feel like this game right here is probably going to be a little bit grittier, a little bit more hard nosed than our earlier game this week. So I still feel like WKU comes out on top, wins it, but it probably will be a little bit closer in my opinion.
Yeah, coincidentally enough, I just watched Glory Road. I think it was last night. I was just randomly had it on, was watching Old Texas Western and their magical run through the season, how they portrayed John Haskins, and then they really made Adolph Rupp look like an asshole in that game. I hadn't seen it. I'd seen bits and pieces of it, but we sat and watched the whole thing. Entertaining, good for them. I would really lean into it if I had a national champion basketball team in my history. You'd never hear the end of that. But Yeah, this game this year, I feel like it's going to be a good one. Life on the road is hard. Talking about some players that we need to be aware of, like we do every game. The leading scorer for El Paso is Tay Hardy. He is a 6'3" senior guard, averaging 14.7 points per game. Their leading rebounder is Kevin Kalu. He's a 6'9" junior forward. He's averaging 5.4 rebounds per game. And their leading passer is Zid Powell. He's a 6'4" senior that's averaging 3.2 assists per game to go along with 11.1 points per game and 5.1 rebounds per game. Now, UTEP is averaging 74.6 points per game, while WKU gives up 73.3. We are averaging 79.4 points per game, while UTEP only allows 69.5. So pretty tight defensively there. But they also played the School for the Blind and McFlurry too, so got to average that in there as well. WKU is averaging 41 rebounds per game. UTEP is only averaging 33 rebounds per game. Then UTEP is averaging 11.5 steals per game. WKU is averaging 7.8 points or steals per game, rather. So let's get into some keys to victory because I have a feeling some of those stats are going to come up as you alluded to earlier. So Tyler, what's your first key to victory against UTEP?
Apologize about that. Protect the ball. They average 11.8 steals on the season. So we had to make good passes and definitely protect the ball. Don't get pickpocketed. Always defend the ball. That's going to be my first key to victory.
Yeah, I think, given those stats and those team comparisons, I think we have to take care of the ball offensively. It sounds cliche. It sounds like cop out. It sounds like basketball 101, but we can't have 15, 16, 17, 18 plus turnovers against a team that is one, aggressive on defense, forcing a lot of turnovers, and two, they're only allowing 69 points per game. That's nice. They're going to try to keep us off the scoreboard. Obviously, points could be at a premium. First one to get to 70 may win. So we've got to take care of the basketball and not turn it over. I agree with you. My first key to victory is take care of the ball. What's your second?
Get to the free throw line. They've shot 445 free throws as of this recording. They're going to play later this week, and they'll probably shoot some more in there. And they've hit 306 of them. And we've only hit 247 out of 361. So they've attempted more than we have. They attempted more than we have. So we definitely got to get to the line, keep them off the line, because apparently they're being aggressive. They're good at getting there. So definitely got to out aggressive them, get to the line, and hit our free throws.
I think we have to play our brand of basketball, and I think when you have a team that's as tough as they are defensively, maybe call them aggressive. I don't know if they play a full court or a trapping defense. I haven't watched tape of them or haven't seen them on ESPN Plus playing this year, but I do know that an aggressive defense like that is susceptible to that defense getting broken and getting points on the other end. It's just about getting it past half court. That aggressive defense is really just trying to get you out of the rhythm, out of the flow of setting your offense up in the half court. But I think through this course of the season, we know we're not a half court set offensive minded team. We want to run, go fast, and score points before you set up your defense. So I think if we play our brand of basketball, we're making stops and then we're getting out and running. I think we can, our strength of offense and pace will be more than their strength on defense could handle. So I would say play our brand of basketball, and that's that fast pace, get out and run and go before their defense can set up. What is your third key to victory?
Mine's going to be, we're playing another weak rebounding team. Definitely got to win the rebound battle. We got to get them second chance points on the offensive rebound. And whenever we get the defensive rebound, look for that outlet man, make the pass, and then get off to the races, get down there, either fast break, so they can't set up their defensive pressure on us.
Yeah, if we're averaging, I think it was 8 more rebounds than them per game. Let's say that's 4 defensive, 4 offensive. So in theory, law of averages, we should have 4 more extra possessions than them just by how many rebounds we average. So I think we have to be strong there, just like we have been. We have good rebounding guards. Rodney Howard and Babacar Faye, Brandon Newman. We've got guys that crash the board and can really give us an advantage there. So I agree with you. I'm right there with you. Rebounding needs to continue to be a strength. We can't let them out rebound us and push the ball the other way and just limit us to a one and done type of offense. The more that we can win that battle is going to favor us to win the game overall. Who is your MBT, your most valuable topper versus the UTEP Miners?
All right, I'm going to mention one thing about the UTEP Miner team. You mentioned his name, Tay Hardy. He's a 38. This is not my MBT, even though if he wants to help us by turning the ball over, I'd take that too. He's a 38.3% three-point shooter, and he has attempted 85 three-pointers on the season, only hit 33. He is by far their most he's one that's going to take the three-point shot, if anything. Zid Powell and Otis Frazier the third. Otis Frazier's the third is a forward. Zid Powell and Otis have both attempted 39 and both have hit 10. Corey Camper Jr., he's attempted 48 and only hit 14. I just want to kind of get that out the way because if anyone's going to probably jack up a three, it's going to be Tay Hardy. Now, going into my MVT, it's going to be Tyrone Marshall Jr. Woo. He leads the team in steals and blocks. And I think this is going to be his type of game. I feel like he's going to thrive there at the Don Haskins Center. That's Don Haskins. Yeah. I've seen Glory Road. I've seen it in the theaters whenever it first came out. Boy, that was a stinker. Whenever you talk to them UK fans, all that they were pissed. I'm going to go with Tyrone Marshall as my MBT.
You're going to have a hard time talking me out of Don McHenry. Basically, I can record this clip and just insert it for every episode. Don McHenry is that dude. He's him. We've seen other guys have really, Landers had a good game here. Dante Allen, Brandon Newman, most recently in the last game. But the most consistent player we've had every game who's shown up has been Don McHenry. Even last game when he only played basically one half, he had 19 points. 3 out of 7 from three. He's our main ball handler. Super aggressive, can hit from all three levels. He can get to the rim. He can hit a mid-range, or he can step back and hit a three. So I think Don McHenry is that guy that has to show up on the road and help lead us to victory. I think he's that important. What about a score prediction? What you got for New Mexico State?
All right, so I said this one's probably going to be grittier. And my score is going to reflect that. I got WKU winning, as always. But this one is going to be by a score of 76-70. So following the historical trends, it's going to be a close game. But I feel like Western Kentucky is going to pull it out at the end.
I'm not far behind you. I've got WKU winning, of course, red glasses on, biased. I expect and hope that we're going to go on the road and win every game. But I've got us winning 75-71. I think offensively and defensively, this team is starting to come together more. And I think, especially that Sam Houston loss is a sour taste in our mouths. It was an ugly game. It was one that we came out and rectified there versus Jacksonville State. Now we've got a pretty important road swing. We have to at least split this road swing. We can't go 0-2, and realistically and optimistically, we need to go 2-0. On the road. It's certainly doable. Both games will be tough. There's not any game that you can just show up and get off the bus and win. Unless you're talking about that team down in Murfreesboro. I think we might just be able to do that with them later in February. They're pretty terrible. But, it's going to be tough games on the road. Life on the road's tough. We need to win half those games, and so far we haven't done that. We can win every game at home. I believe that. if you come into Diddle and there's 5,000-6,000 plus screaming fans, our team is going to thrive on that. We've seen coach talk about that. We've seen players talk about that. But on the road is really where life is tough. In those games and those victories, you kind of really see what your team is made out of. And we didn't look great against Sam Houston, but I think we're going to look better here against New Mexico State and UTEP on this road swing. I think we're growing and learning and getting better every single game. I don't want to be playing my best basketball right now, December, January. I want us to be ramping up, getting better, getting smarter, getting more cohesive, more consistent, through the middle, end of January, into February, into conference tournament, and hopefully NCAA tournament. It's time to start gelling. We're there. I think we've seen big spurts, halves of basketball that have looked really good, and that can win ball games for you. But we need to start turning that into, 30 minutes, 40 minutes of just full court aggressive defense that leads to offense, which we've seen from this team. When you outscore Jacksonville State by 19 points, with Kiki Tandy, who's a pretty good scorer, that's an impressive half of basketball. And I think we can do that, and we're going to continue to get better as this season goes. I'm excited for these couple games. I'm excited for the rest of the season. Really glad we got to dive into that really deep and long red towel wrap up that you had there with the track and field. I know they've got another meet coming up this week, I think in Louisville, when I was looking at the calendar. So get ready. Next week, you got another long one. Yes, you do. Get familiar with those names. But really just, overall, just excited for basketball season. It is my favorite season. I love football, but I nothing compares to basketball for me. I really enjoy the games. And I'm excited for what this season brings. We've talked about, this Steve Lutz coach team from day one, how aggressive and how good they've looked. And just, we knew that was, the rough draft at the beginning of the season. We're now starting to see it get put together, how good they can be. And if they play to their full potential, really the sky's the limit on this team. They can absolutely win Conference USA. Liberty was favored coming into this season. Took care of them, pretty good at home. We'll see how that turns when we go to the, in the regular season with them on the road. But we just got to win ball games, put good games together, and just beat the teams in front of us one game at a time. So I'm excited for it. I love, breaking down these games, talking about how we played and who we're playing next. Looking forward to it. And this road trip's going to be a big one. It's not going to be easy by any means, but certainly we can go out and win and go 2-0. But first, we got to start and go 1-0. So I'm looking forward to that. Tyler, give us your final words and take us the heck out of here.
Yeah, to kind of echo what you said, I grew up, basketball was one of my first loves. So, I'm kind of like you. I really enjoy college football. I love watching it, love rooting for my team. But I just know more about, basketball and all that stuff. So, and there's nothing better than sitting inside Diddle Arena on a cold, winter's day or night, and watching the teams play. Now, you're right. I'm going to talk some trash right now. Especially the MTSU. You're garbage. You're trash. You might as well just pack it in. Fire your coach. You're 6-11 overall record. That's garbage. You lost to Louisiana Tech. I guess it was Louisiana Tech. Or was it? They played a game here recently, and at halftime, the score was just absolutely embarrassing.
They're bad. Yeah, there's been, I think, 4 times this season they haven't scored 50 points. I think they haven't scored 70 or 60 against a D1 opponent in like a full month. So, yeah, they're bad.
All right. UIC. Who is UIC? Let's just look it up. The UIC Flames. All right.
Yeah, the Illinois College for the Blind.
Pretty much. MTSU lost 70-40. They couldn't even against UIC.
It's embarrassing.
Oh, it is. St. Mary's. St. Mary's. Granted, good basketball team. St. Mary's. MTSU got embarrassed by a score of 71 to 34. That's right. 34 points in a game. In a I mean, Southern Utah, that powerhouse of a basketball program. You got, Duke, North Carolina, Southern Utah, right here. Right here. Third level down. In fact,
right under the red towel there.
Yeah, right under the red towel truss. I believe some people put Southern Utah above Duke and North Carolina. Honestly, I've seen it in the polls. They got MTSU lost 69-63. They beat Reinhardt. I didn't even know Reinhardt was a college. Beat them 84 to 47.
That's a food service provider.
They make great chicken. But no, MTSU, you are garbage. I hope the worst on you. I can't wait to come down there and play you and show you.
Are you going to go? Are you going to MTSU?
Hey, I've been there once. I might as well go again.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Make that 100 miles of hate trip and just enjoy every minute coming back once we whip that ass. Now, Liberty. In football, you made a lot of noise. Basketball, you're welcome to Conference USA's not doing too swift. You're on a 3-0 record with an 80-76 overtime loss to La Tech at La Tech. Now, granted, La Tech is supposed to be pretty decent, so that is a good one. You lost to Jacksonville State, though, 61-51. Kiki Tandy. I'm guessing he just showed y'all up.
Do you love me, Kiki?
Kiki. Anyway, I'm excited for basketball season to especially the conference record season to finally get here. I feel like this is going to be a great year for us. I feel like, and with you, I feel like this team is gelling good. I feel like they're playing good. Tegan Moore got in. What was it in the Sam Houston game, right? And he scored 7 points. I'm glad that he got some playing time. I hope he's able to get some more because I feel like he can really do some stuff. And he's going to end up being a very good player, kind of like Justin Johnson was. Maybe if not this year, but maybe next year or later in his career. Hopefully he sticks around. But no, I'm excited for students to get back into school so that they can be up there at Diddle and, like you said, get rowdy, get loud, basically cause havoc. Because I went to an EKU game earlier this year, or the EKU WKU game, and was one of the band members was talking trash to a lady. She was from EKU, so I felt sorry for her. I didn't know, honestly, if they could find their way here. But one of the band members was talking garbage up to her, and it was kind of funny to sit there and watch a college kid yell, because this girl was, or this lady was, I'm probably going to say middle-aged. She could have been a Karen. I'm not 100% sure. She could have been. But to watch them yell back and forth, it was awesome. But no, I'm not looking forward. Actually, I am looking forward to the future Red Tail wrap-ups. But if we keep getting a lot of names, I'm just going to say, Moff, back to you, and pass it straight back to you so you can say their names. And I ain't going to embarrass myself. But it's always a good day to be a hilltopper, everybody. So with that, I will say, Moff, who has it better than us?
Nobody,
y'all.
You know it. Go Tops.
Go Tops, y'all.
Later.
See you.